In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said and right here in this holy silence. I find God, I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find myself. So I wait for these precious moments when I hear all that could never be said and right here in this holy silence I find God, I find God, I
Good morning. I love seeing so many faces. Well, welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. I'm Frankie, the spiritual director here, and we welcome you in person and we welcome you online, which means that you might be watching us right now or maybe any time in the future. That's the beauty of live streaming, it lives forever. So we are continuing to explore the theme of living out loud, and those of you that have this little journal, you're following. We have a few left, so a little journal where you can follow every week, and we have today says the world is an oyster, but I like to change the title, but I will be talking about oysters. Not in that way. And the theme for this month is curiosity as a superpower, which is a very powerful idea. And so today I'm talking about curiosity as a spiritual practice. And we're blessed to have John Heron with us, who serves as a licensed practitioner at CSL Princeton. And what we're exploring today is this idea of how can I use curiosity? How can I be more curious, especially in the areas where I might be struggling? And what does that mean? And how can I be more curious when I'm challenged? Because the tendency is when we're challenged is to be very focused on the challenge or on the problem. So we're going to explore that. And then we're going to use this idea of being still. Being still and waiting until the answer reveals itself, which, by the way, sometimes can be years. It has been for me, where I've had to meditate on something for years to actually receive an answer or guidance. So we are all over social media, we have a website, and on the website we have all the events that are happening way in advance, as well as on our weekly email. I know that maybe 40% of you read those weekly emails because we get the results. So some of you tell me, I didn't know this was happening, and I'm going, you might want to read your weekly email because it's all in there, almost always, the topic and events, and we have a workshop today, but it's all ready. Registration is closed unless you beg. No, just kidding. Because there was a lot of preparation and a lot of supplies and a lot of planning that happened with that. So those of you that are staying for that, I'm really excited. And then we have on March 3rd, we have Gail Belluardo doing her first Friday healing circle, which is lovely. And we also have Kat doing another sound bath for us, flyers over there, which is an in-person event on March 26th at 12:45, where you don't have to do anything except lie down on the floor for an hour and 15 minutes. I know, it's bizarre, right? So let us greet one another. And I want to do it a little bit differently today. We do a namaste practice where we put our hands together. Namaste is the Sanskrit word, and the meaning is the divinity in me blesses the divinity in you. So right now I want you to close your eyes, put your hands together, and imagining that you are doing a namaste, a blessing to somebody you know is suffering somewhere in the world. It could be Ukraine, Russia, China, Syria, Turkey. Right here at our front steps, it could be somebody you love, somebody you know. So in your mind, just bless them with a namaste. And now open your eyes and bless somebody in the room or somebody's namaste. And let's treat our word for affirmative prayer. So I invite you to close your eyes. And just for this moment, as we withdraw our attention from the outer world and bring it to the inner world, we find within ourselves. And sometimes I know it takes a moment, but we find within our heart of hearts an altar, a center of truth, a spark of light and love. An infinite wisdom that has always been there and always will be and is there right here, right now. It is our connection with the universe. It's our connection with the life source, and it is ever giving of itself. And we get to be in the receiving mode, in deeper, richer, wider, and more precious ways. This is just a reminder for each and every one of us to commune with this source and to trust its presence and its guidance. And so we give ourselves the gift of moments of silence, moments of peace, moments of going to the well, so that we may be guided and replenished. I trust that this is happening in divine right action, for I know it always is, but we always can use reminders, and that it blesses us in ways we cannot even measure. So with awe and gratitude, then, we turn this over to the universal law, and we let it demonstrate it's in highest and best ways, and so it is.
So it is.
Also a reminder to turn your phones off, or on airplane mode, whatever you have. All right. I want you to take a moment and notice what you noticed. Me sitting here with my eyes closed. Notice what went through your mind. Notice if you were distracted and in what way. And now join me. Close your eyes. Empty your mind. And just be in the presence of love, of wisdom, of peace. And notice what you notice without any judgment. And when you're ready, open your eyes. There's a wonderful card that is right next to my meditation cushion that's probably 20 years old. And it's a quote by Sandra Mold, who was a 1025, founder of the Camaldoli Benedictine Monastery in Italy. And it says, empty yourself and sit, waiting content with the grace of God. Empty yourself and sit, waiting, content with the grace of God. That's what meditation is like for me. And it's kind of like taking the time to be curious in a different way, right? It's just noticing what you notice. Noticing what you noticed when I was just sitting on a stool, saying nothing with my eyes closed. I heard some ritzeling and fritzeling with paper and with bags and stuff and coats, but I also heard the room get very quiet. So there's probably anywhere in between what the hell is going on and silence, right? And so being curious, using curiosity as a spiritual practice in a different way. Today, I'm talking about noticing what you notice. Notice what it feels like to be in a space of silence. Notice what you notice to have your body be still. Notice what you notice when there is no noise or when there's nothing to do. I have a few acquaintances that say if there's nothing to do, I go crazy. I can't take it. I have to be doing something. I have to move something. I know what that's like because as a child, I was so antsy-pantsy that I was literally punished for not shutting up and not sitting still in school. And now it is something that I am hungry for. I can't wait in the morning to sit on my meditation cushion and be still and be quiet. Of course, we cannot turn off our mind because its job is to think, but we can train it to be more spacious so that we can hear and we can tune into a different voice. Some call it the voice of spirit, the voice of the heart. And so what you may have noticed is how easy it is for you to get distracted by people coming in, by noises you might hear, by noises somebody's making next to you. Oh, I gotta go get milk later. Let me not forget the milk. I should write it down because if I don't write it down, I'm gonna forget it. Or some people just say, I can't meditate. That's a really great excuse because it isn't true. Everybody can meditate. We just have to find a way that works for us. And so today we live in a world where people are so distracted, so distressed, and so disturbed, whether they're conscious of it or not. You know, because it's your feelings, how you feel and what's happening in your life tells you. And a lot of the distress that we might be feeling in our day-to-day living is a deep invitation to be still, to rest in your spirit, to listen for a different voice, not literal. And so we're being curious today because it's a different way of being. It's a more meditative way of being, where you might be driving on the turnpike and all of a sudden traffic dead stops. Notice what you're thinking. Notice how you're feeling. And in that moment, choose to connect, to feel peaceful, to rest, to get quiet, to maybe turn off the radio and just be in a place of quiet and faith, right? And so we pay attention to how easily we get irritated with ourselves, with each other, with the world news, with what's happening in the world. That's why I did the Namaste practice, because the world right now needs us to bless, to pray for, to have faith for. We get to hold that in that space of silence, in that place of stillness, instead of being worried and afraid of what's happening in the world. So one of my favorite poets, the 12th century Persian poet Jalaluddin Rumi, said this: what strikes the oyster shell, what strikes the oyster shell does not damage the pearl. He was talking literally about oysters, right? I mean, he lived by the sea. He didn't. He was talking about literal oysters, right? No, what do you think he was talking about? He spoke in metaphor, and his language was always very highly developed spiritually, because he was a very well-loved sheikh in Turkey, today's Turkey, and he performed miracles all the time. I'm now reading a book of stories about him where he performed miracles like that. And so that's what a highly developed, a highly curious as a spiritual practice person can arrive at, is to speak in metaphor so people can understand. Today's Buddhist teacher Surya Das says, pearl principle, the pearl principle. We all get to practice the pearl principle. And the pearl principle is no inner irritation, no pearl. No inner irritation, no pearl. So knowing myself and being curious, I'm always looking things up. That's how I get to weave it into talk. I had to find out a little bit more about this pearl, oyster, pearl thing. Because my first reaction with oysters is, how many of you love oysters? Yeah, you all go, I gotta go get me some today, yummy. I don't get it, it's like snot. There's no flavor, and I know people put stuff on it to give it flavor, but isn't that interesting? I love that there are people who love oysters and people who don't, and people who go, eh. And so it's an acquired taste, yes, and so oysters have been around for about 50 million years, so I guess I understand why they taste so good. And they become adults at year 1, and they live for about 20 years. There's about 200 species of oysters. Who knew? I don't know which one I had, maybe the wrong one. They can change sex. Cool, I'll be a girl today and a boy tomorrow. That's kind of fun, right? And they breathe like a fish. They're vegetarians. And the way they take in food, which is only algae, is by filtering water, and they filter about 50 gallons of water a day to get enough algae to live. A pearl happens only 1 in 10,000. Actually, gem quality pearls, only 1 in a million. And that's rare anymore. It's why we now have cultivated pearls. If a grain of sand or dust or salt gets into the oyster, it goes, starts to fight, and it defends itself, and it pushes the intruder out, and it fights so hard and so long that the grain of sand actually gets coated and coated and coated until it becomes a pearl. Isn't that cool? We kind of know that, right? But Ruby's saying what strikes the oyster shell does not damage the pearl reminds me of what Buckminster Fuller says in the journal today, those of you that have it. It's on page 24. And Buckminster Fuller is somebody I've always followed and admired. He lived in the late 1800s to early 1900s. And he was an architect, a writer, a designer, an inventor, a philosopher, and a futurist, and a designer as well. Did I say that? Writer. So he says this: you never change things by fighting the existing reality. I felt exhausted when I read that line, because that's what we humans do, right? We fight day-to-day reality. And we forget that there's a whole world beyond this reality that's awaiting our attention, our awareness, our use, our involvement. He says to change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Right? You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So how do we build a new model? We get curious. When we have a challenge, or we get bad news, or a terrible diagnosis, or a huge loss, it's okay for us to feel that and to grieve. But there's a part 2. Listen to a deeper wisdom already within for guidance, for knowledge. The good news is it's already in you. Where else would it be? Somebody else has it and you have to pay them? We know that's not true. It's within us, and we know this being on a spiritual path. So we begin to ask a different question. We begin to listen to a different part of us. And so whatever is irritating us becomes a way to shift our consciousness into a different direction, into the direction of the answer already exists, and I'm willing to hear it and to know it and to live it. And so let's think of an example. Is there something that you want to change? Is there an area in your life where you want to experience change? Or maybe you have a really strong opinion about something in the world that needs to be changed. So either in you, around you, or in the world beyond. Is there something that you say, I want this to change? Just shout it out.
Global warming.
You want global warming to change. Politics to change. Poverty to change. Obsessive focusing to change. Against this, otherness. So I want you to hear that inside yourself, whether you've said it out loud or not. Because we all have a list, even if there's only one thing on that list, something that we want to change. The thing that happens with most people is they want change, but they don't want to change. In order to want change, you have to be the instrument of change. So if it is global warming, I can ask, what is mine to do? Is there something else that I can do to be a part of healing this planet? Same with poverty, same with politics, right? In our teaching, we don't say point a finger and don't change, don't do anything, just keep bitching about it. No, we say, what is mine to do? And it starts where? In consciousness. It starts within. It has to, right? And so we become the quality that we want to see changed out here. There might not be a direct relationship. So if I say, I want my sister or my brother or my father or my mother to change, we can ask, what is the quality that I want to see changed? And then we become that quality. Knowing that it will probably never be perfect, but we cultivate that quality through our spiritual practices and in this living lab called life. And so, the beautiful Saint Ramol, empty yourself and sit waiting content with the grace of God, is one way to listen for that change. And the beauty is it can morph all the time. So if I ask the question, at first it might say, be more kind. But tomorrow it might say, go pick up trash on the turnpike. I don't care. Pick something, do something different. Just experience it in a different way. So we're asked to be the peace that we want in the world in a bigger way than we think we already are. We're asked to be the love in the world in a different way than we have up until now. We're asked to bring more harmony close, in our close circle, and then lend that quality to the world in the way that we are called to do so. And that requires that we sit and listen and breathe and become a little more peaceful and become a little more quiet. I'm finding that teaching meditation in jail, I'm finding that the ones that practice are changing. The ones that don't practice, they have the same complaint, which usually is distractions by their case, by the environment, by the noises in the room or outside the room, right? And so the invitation is constantly use those irritants to polish your pearl. And so we must become more conscious. We must become more deliberate. We must become more present and more committed to being the spiritual beings that we are in the world. The world needs us. The world needs us. The world needs you. The world needs your peace, your healing journey, your faith, your joy, your light, your wisdom, your money, your service. And we get to give that away freely. So I love what Psalm 46:10 says. Be still and know. Yeah, we don't go around saying, I'm God. No, because that's how you get locked up, by the way. But we can act like Him, right? We can act and we can be more godlike, all of us. So being still and knowing I am God is being still and listening long enough to know it, to feel it, to see it, to connect with it, to act from it. And again, it's not about perfection, it's about practice. And so we are still until we identify with our divinity. We are, and how to activate it. We become still until we tune into our pearl self instead of the oyster self. We rest until we connect with that light that is already within us. And it shines a little bit differently through everyone because we're each unique, individualized expressions of the light. So go shine. Go shine that light. The world needs us. And the beauty is that you and I already are the light. We already know it's within us. And now we get to be still until we hear, know, feel how to express it. So I'm going to have another song that's very beautiful and silent and quiet. So I invite you to be still and to listen for that stillness within. And then after that, we'll have John sharing a little practice with us.
Sacred center, reveal to me silent song, speak.
I see only the spirit of love in everything I see and everyone I see. That's an affirmation that I've been using a lot. And I thought today I would love to share this practice. So on some of the chairs you found, just make sure that you can see. So your first assignment is if the person next to you doesn't have one or down the road doesn't have one, just pass. You can share. For instance, and you've got one, okay. Make sure that everyone around you can see. I tried to make the font large enough. Right? So now your first assignment is to do this within the silence that Reverend Frankie has offered us this morning. Right? It's so easy to move right back into that other place, in the noise. So this is a practice that I do, and I thought it would be really valuable to do it together. And you may want to take this home with you. It's from 365 Science of Mind on the January 1st entry. Ernest Holmes put this in there. And what we're going to do is from this place, this wonderful sense of silence and quiet, which we've all created, or I hope we've all created, I see only the spirit of love in everything I see and everyone I see. Keeping that present. We're going to repeat this all together. And it's not just the words that we're repeating. It's that spirit of love, whatever that means to you, the spirit of God, if you like the word God, I use the word God. That's what we're using to say these words. Okay? So say it with me, and as we say it, we're going to say each, I made separations between each little section, right? You finish one section, you stop and take a deep breath. And just know that in each little section, there's a word or a thought that is waiting for you to listen to it. Look for that, right? This is the practice, one of the many practices one can do to really start learning. What we see as a problem, it's not always our job to fix it. Spirit is there to give us that, and it's present always, at every moment, just waiting for us to listen. So here's the practice of listening. So everyone together, start saying this. I believe that divine intelligence, which is the mind of God, is guiding, guarding, and directing my thoughts and actions. Take a nice deep breath. Just look at that statement. Is there something in there that calls to you? And if not, maybe that's what's calling to you. It's not there. And the second one. I believe that God already knows the answer to this particular problem. Therefore, I am letting go of the problem, and I am listening to the answer as though it is yours. Take a deep breath. So maybe that problem that Reverend Frankie brought to mind when just talking about the world around us. Or maybe something more specific in your life. What if the solution is already there, just waiting for you to open yourself to it? What words in that section? And the next section. The answer to this problem exists in the mind of God and is revealed to my mind now. Deep breath. So just pay attention to what's present for you. That phrase, it is revealed to my mind now. Did you say that just as words? Or was there something deeper here for you? And what if this was true? But the answer is just waiting for you to listen. And the next sentence. Something in me does know what to do. I joyfully accept His kindness. Deep breath. Are you joyfully accepting His guidance? And right now, if you're not, do you want to? Maybe it's just as simple as letting go of whatever you're holding in your mind that says, I'm not joyfully accepting this. And the next sentence. I am open to new ideas, new hopes, and new aspirations. Deep breath. What there calls to you, is there something that's calling to you? This which so recently seemed a problem no longer exists, for the mind of God, which knows the answer, is quietly flowing through my thought and feeling. Deep breath. What calls to you? Great peace and joy come over me as I accept this answer from the Creator of all life. Deep breath. What calls to you? Great peace and joy come over me as I accept this answer from the giver of all life. Can you imagine, and maybe you are already doing it, can you imagine if you went out in the world and that is your main way of communicating with the world? Great peace and joy come over me as I accept the answer. Right? I find sometimes when I listen, I'm not really accepting it, in a closed space. Can you imagine what your life would be if you found this open space? And as Reverend Frankie said, live in the world with curiosity. What I think of it is, life is not an exclamation point, it's a question. And so right now, the quiet that you've created, whatever you're experiencing each one of you, Remember what this feels like. Your body, your mind, whatever in your being. And I'm offering you a challenge, a loving challenge. The next time the world goes, right? And that can be so many things, each one of us, it's different. Remember what this feels like. Remember this thought. Remember that great peace and joy come over me, over you, when you accept the answer. The answer's always there. So there are a lot of different practices of this sort of thing, and my experience is the more I do it, when I get caught up in my life, this comes into my mind again, great peace and joy from the acceptance. Build up that consciousness, and we open up to the great pearl that's inside. So, thank you very much. Okay, so from this place, this wonderful place, the place of the pearl, I'm going to do a treatment, an affirmative prayer. And so knowing that this infinite blessing is fully present in all places at all times, this word is for each one participating, listening, right here, right now, either digitally or physically present here, and anyone who wishes that they would participate. I offer this word. This infinite blessing, this constantly present, infinite consciousness, this namaste which lives in each one, is now fully present in those here, in those listening. And I know that right here, right now, this presence of spirit, this peace, this joy, has awoken in each one, and each one is experiencing in new and wonderful ways the divine presence which is always offering itself with open arms. And so each one is fully accepting that offering, and each one is living as a question mark. Each one is living with curiosity, with divine curiosity, knowing that that truth is the central truth of each one's life. And so as we go out into the world, everyone is knowing that they are that blessing, that they are living that blessing, that that blessing is always offered. And living in that blessing, each one is creating a world of blessing around them for those that are in their lives, for those who may pass through their lives, and for the world. And so I know that this infinite blessing is fully present right here, right now, expressing through each one. And I know that that is in the law, and I'm truly grateful for that. And so right here, right now, I release this. It is done, and so it is. So it is.
Thank you, John. That's so great. We have extra copies for those that didn't get one, and you were sharing with someone if you want to take it home, so let us know. So today is a little bit different because I'm offering a workshop at 1 o'clock, and there's some organization that needs to happen. So those of you that haven't signed up, we ask you to leave. I know you love to chat and hug and say hello, and of course do that a little bit, but I know sometimes people go out to lunch, so if you want to go out to lunch, if anybody's going, say, we're going, come along. So also, we are in need of an IT genius. Mark has been wonderful and is helping us, but we need more. So if there's somebody here that's like really good with IT stuff and live streaming stuff, or know somebody that would like to volunteer, send them my way. You will make me very happy. And also there are other ways to volunteer, ways to give and support our center. There's a basket in the back. You can give on our website. You can do text to give. There's lots of different ways. It's all on the sheet in the back. We invite you to support this community because obviously there's a need for it. Or you wouldn't be here, or we wouldn't have new people come, right? So if anybody's here for the first time, you get a free book, so just go over to our bookshelf and take a book with you. And if you have any questions, let us know. We're here to support you. That includes spiritual support. We have licensed practitioners. Reach out to them if and when you need support, because they are there for you to support you. So I want you to do one more namaste. Put your hands together and close your eyes again. And just really think of all those in the world that need your light, that need your consciousness, that need your love. And just send it their way with a blessing, a word, a thought, a feeling. Take a nice deep breath and let us always come from love and from faith. Because we are the ones the world is waiting for. And so it is. Have a beautiful day.